welcome everyone to the Nymbl Healthcare webinar. We're very excited to have you join us today, and we're going to be taking you through some exciting applications and talk a little bit about our thought leadership when it comes to enterprise AI, especially how it applies to healthcare organizations. By way of introductions, I'm Martin Mason, CEO and co-founder of Nymbl. I'm a client partner for a lot of you on this call, and as you know, I like to support you with strategy, especially when it comes to AI, as it could be applicable in the organization, and also just general application development. Joining with me today is Marcos Lecoyos Boche, who is our industry partner when it comes to all our healthcare solutions. He's going to be showcasing one of our clients' products to demonstrate how it may be applicable to organizations across the industry. Agenda-wise, we'll keep it brief with a high-level introduction as to how we view enterprise AI today and simplifying the different technology categories and components that will be used across different applications or different parts of companies. And then we'll get into the demo in itself. We do need to provide a bit of context as to what this product is solving. It is a sub-product in a suite of applications, and it will show some truly applicable use cases of, in this case, document AI and how it can benefit many organizations, probably beyond just healthcare, but you're going to see something that we have developed and we are currently working with our customer on their internal processes on. And then as we go through this, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We'll try to answer them as they come up or address them towards the end of this webinar. So it'll be 30 minutes and you'll see some cool stuff, but we'll also provide ways to follow up with us in terms of contact information. I will also talk a bit about what Nymbl does and how we help this particular client, but we wanted to kind of start with the overview and the demos next. So as far as what are the technical components of AI, so it is a very there's a lot of depth to this. There's a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of things that you need to research and understand, and sometimes getting that to apply to your business use cases is a challenge. So the way we've categorized these technologies is that you have your AI core component. So these are the things that are making the industry innovate very quickly. You've got large language models, which we all know about. Things like computer vision, predictive analytics have been in play for a while. They're just much more powerful to date. Existing technologies like chatbots, intelligent OCR, RPA are all things the industry is familiar with, but now we're seeing them become even more powerful with these AI core components being introduced into their tech stacks. But as an enterprise, you have to consider the infrastructure of your organization. So you're going to have to introduce concepts like a vector database. How do you manage your data in a current warehouse? What's your API management layer to make sure you're interacting with systems securely? So while it's really cool to have large language models, when you're rolling out enterprise AI across an organization, these are the infrastructure decisions that you have to make to ensure the project's successful. So what we've done is grouped these general technology components into these categories. And these are terms that the industry is familiar with. Enterprise search, for example, is the ability to search across your specific data within an organization, typically known as RAG or retrieval augmented generation. And then you have document AI, which is essentially the next iteration of intelligent OCR, but that still requires the supporting infrastructure to make document AI successful. Agentic is a way to either enhance existing applications or improve user experiences. And we're starting to see this adoption, especially through like Slack and Teams and chatbots, but they can also be autonomous as well. And then you've got generative, which we're all quite familiar with. You see that a lot in your point solutions like CRMs, ERPs, and so on. So it's important to understand how these categories generally get grouped and then all the subcomponents that are required to make them successful. But at the end of the day, the business is not asking for those things specifically. Like these are the general buckets of what the business demand looks like, how they're articulating, how they believe AI could help them. Typically it's with automation. It's being able to improve your forecasting or decision making. Then you have to take those technology categories and apply them to these different use cases. So a lot of what we help our customers do is match what that request is, that use case is, and ensure you've got the right supporting infrastructure to execute. So here's an example of something that would guide one of our clients through this decision-making process. you have to come up with human in the loop business processes that may be on a different scale of maturity. You have, of course, have your existing systems. You have to deal with data, user experiences. All the while, people are sort of focused on, the cool AI stuff in the middle, but you have to establish the human in the loop side, and also, of course, factor in your existing systems of record and potentially new systems of record. And that spans across relational data sources, unstructured data, and being able to map this kind of blueprint to the tech stack of an enterprise is, one way to start a successful AI project. So the focus for today is going to be document AI. We are going to have additional webinars in the future to cover some of these areas. We did something very light on enterprise search, but we have a quite powerful use case around document AI for healthcare. And what we'd like to showcase here is, ultimately the application in itself, but there is a bit of context to understand before we get into that. So one of our customers is a company called Radiology Imaging Associates, and together with Nymbl in our development expertise and overall just solution architecture, we've co-developed a product called VitalMed. So there's more to come on this product in the future with the radiology team. I'm going to, Marco's going to hand it over to you to take us through the product here.
Fantastic, Martin. Thank you so much. Can you see my screen? Good to go?
Yep.
Fantastic. Thank you, Martin. Well, that's correct. So we're excited because we're going to talk about one of our most successful clients, Radiology Imaging Associates, and the platforms that we have built under the VitalMed main brand. You see, they're currently one of the top 5 radiologic providers in the country with services in Florida, Georgia, Virginia, and many other places. Currently, they receive more than 1.5 million orders per year, and that is documents, that is paperwork. So they need an army of admin teams to receive and process these orders of radiologic diagnosis. Now, we have developed 3 incredible platforms for them. On one side, Worklist, FaxAuto, and Webform. But today, we're particularly excited, I am particularly excited, to showcase FaxAuto, or as we like to call it, document automation. You see, FaxAuto, or DocAuto, it's a unique cutting-edge platform that seamlessly integrates with the eFax provider. It leverages OCR, and I will talk about what OCR is, and AI, using AWS TextRack and Cloud AI to automatically extract and classify patient information, insurance information, radiologic procedure, all that data, and place it in a very clean board so that an administrative team can go ahead and do the verification, like Martin mentioned. This reduces so much manual data entry, keeps everything HIPAA compliance, and helps scales in a very efficient way. In a nutshell, the system reduces so much wasted time. Now, consider this quite of a complex system under the hood. Data, what is so cool is that data can be transferred virtually to any digital system because it uses a very robust HL7 and FHIR messaging mapping and interoperability standards so that it can seamlessly connect to any EHR, any EMR, or any other digital system. That way, it ensures that data flows pretty seamlessly, without any duplication. Now, let me show you how it is that this is being implemented. You see, a healthcare provider sends a document directly to the platform. Can be either email, fax, or even direct to an API. Now, it's not just about faxes. This kind of system works very well to all kind of documents. And I will remind that a few times because it can be on billing, it can be laboratories, it can be insurance. the system automatically activates the OCR. Now, what's OCR? It's optical character recognition, which pretty much, to make it simple, it means that the system has been trained to recognize patterns and convert the image of a text into a machine readable text format. And then comes Claude AI, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, and everything under AWS Bedrock. They do the data classification and looks into all that readable text that Textra was able to acquire and pretty much make sense of it. You know, it's kind of like looking for the patient's first name, patient's first name, patient's last name, patient last name, kind of following that idea. In this case, the system extracts and organizes about 40 fields in the document, and that it's placed anywhere in the document in just a few seconds. Typically, this organization usually will need about 15 clerks to manually handle millions of orders or documents throughout the year. Now, Doc Auto automate this process with human intervention only for the final verification and approval. Now, it's kind of neat because this platform in particular that I will show you extracts a wide range of information, including primary insurance, subscriber information, patient information, of course, the provider details, procedural codes, ICD codes, and much, much more. Then it automatically maps it correctly so that the data flows without any type of interruption. You know that if patient records are not matched properly, which is an issue in this era, this can lead to huge compliance issues. Now, it handles everything. We have seen that it's able to recognize low resolution, handwritten documents, or even tilted documents. You know how the copy of the copy of the copy can have a bad resolution? So it's able to figure that out. And I will show you a few examples. Now, this is crucial for organizations that might have historical archives and would like to transition to a digital world. This can be a particular solution. You know, it also separates multiple orders within a single file and sends it individually to the dashboard. Now, this is a unique problem because we see files that might have unique needs within the healthcare ecosystem, but are bundled together when they send it from one facility to another. For example, different medical records have varied compliance requirements that, you know, might need to be tackled by a specific employee, such as billing documents for billing employee, insurance verification. So this system can automatically separate the documents and send it to the right person or system if needed. Now, I think it will be better if I just kind of show you the demo, right? Now here, you see the main dashboard. And just to clarify, all this information is sample data. We are not using real patient data to keep everything HIPAA compliant. But what you can see in here is that all the information that is being sent from a provider lands in this dashboard so that an administrative team can go ahead and validate the extracted data from here. You see, you can easily see details such as the sender, the patient, number of pages, excuse me, and the dates it was sent, as well as who is assigned. I think some of the cool functionalities is that we have added this little green button, which is called the AutoNext function. And what it does is ensures that each fax is assigned to a specific person. That way things are not duplicated. Now, why don't we click into a sample? Here, you will see that on the left-hand side, you will have the document that was extracted in a PDF format. It's quite neat because you can go ahead and expand it, look in specific areas. And on the right-hand side, you will see all the information that was extracted. Patient information, insurance information, everything related to the provider. But why don't we take a look if it's actually accurate, because that's what we're going for. For example, we hear that it was able to pick up the name, Joseph Jones. Also, it was able to pick up correctly a date of birth. Even the address, it's right there. It makes it quite simple for an administrative team to just go ahead and check if the data is accurate or not. We can also take a look for the provider information. Juan Albert, it's right there. Even the clinic, the address, everything has been picked up completely automatic. Now, let's take a look at some of the other functionalities that we have included. On the exam section, what we have done is that we have showed everything in one single screen. The procedure that is being requested, CPT codes, ICD, reason for the exam, and the date of the procedure. Now, what we see is that this system is 90 to 95% accurate when it comes to extracting and classifying the data. Now, we have also included something quite unique. It's the confidence score. When the system highlights a confidence score that might be low, it's either because the data is missing or it's not completely sure. So it's 89% confident. Anything below 90%, we are suggesting the administrative team to go ahead and do a double check. When you don't see a confidence score, it means that the system is quite confident that the data is accurate. We have also included other kinds of functionalities, such as the CPT code suggestion. What it is when there's no CPT code in the document, the system will suggest one based on all the information that was collected. And again, has to be validated by the team. One of the cool things is that they can go ahead and pretty much edit the information just in case they're not sure. So all this can be completely erased and inputted by the administrative team. Now, once we want to go ahead and assign everything, the system is telling us, you know what, there's certain information that is required and still missing. Patient gender, primary plan, diagnosis, procedure selection. Before we even accept or reject, we have to complete that information. So for example, here, this is the suggestion of what the system is telling us to include as a procedure. But now the clerk will go ahead and quite easily choose which one they want to implement. Now, I'm going to go a little bit into the tech aspect. Let's dive into the technical aspect, but I'm not going to overcomplicate things. I'm going to try to make it as straight as possible. This system is built on a very robust AWS infrastructure. It ensures HIPAA compliance and security. Documents are sent to an eFax provider and AWS, where tools like TaxTrack, the OCR that I've been talking about, Bedrock, Cloud AI are used. Also, we include the storage aspect of it, CloudWatch to look at the logs, API gateway. Everything works together seamlessly. The system can separate documents by identifying if it's a radiologic order or not. It can accurately split even if it's handwritten or low resolution images. If any of the information is missing, we in engineering, we like to do things twice just in case. So we throw another loop again to find if there's any issues. Plus, it's cost effective at about 0.08 per page for the AI implementation. That includes all the AI storage and navigation cost incurred in AWS. Compare this to imagine the initial cost that it's required to implement a maybe robust document management system or scanning infrastructure. The hardware, the software, integration tools can be very expensive, especially for resort for facilities that are strapped, resource strapped institutions, or even consider ongoing maintenance costs such as licenses, upgrades, support services, hardware replacement, and the human capital. Like I mentioned, our client is reducing and reallocating their staff. Large scanning projects or document management often requires additional labor to ensure that backlogs pretty much do not disrupt the ongoing operation. You see, in the scenario, we are projecting that we will save our client more than $750,000 annually. They will reduce and reallocate their staff from 15 to 2. Now they can move that staff to patient care, billing, just by implementing an AI-driven system. Their budget has been going down for $1 million almost to about a quarter. It's this era of innovation of AI and utilizing a strong infrastructure and a great partner to guide you that effortlessly adapt to any needs, leading to, like we call it, fewer clicks and more care. Back to you, Martin.
Great. Thank you, Marcos. Super impressive. Thank you for that demo. You switch up to share here. So there was one question around how this is different from traditional OCR. So in some of my previous projects, we spent a lot of time attempting to integrate OCR into a similar process, but a different industry. And we saw that pattern quite a bit. And the OCR onboarding experience without AI was very difficult. You had to be very precise with the real estate area, what part of the template you were going to use. Now, if you looked at what's under the hood of this application, it's a little more of a natural language. Look for these elements. This is typically a checkbox. Could be a text field. You can provide that guidance in more natural language, and then the OCR capability, which is now improved because of the AI, is able to deal with different variants of the same facts. Because as you can imagine in healthcare, those fax orders are very different depending on the referring organization, but also there's handwritten things that are very difficult to process as well. So generally the technology has significantly improved in the last 3 or 4 years. And I see some familiar faces on this call, and some of the challenges that we would have had in previous OCR projects. So we feel if we can solve this here with an application, back with the AWS as the underlying architecture, there's other opportunities in different industries, whether it's healthcare or finance, and we've started some of that, already seeing some of those requests. I did answer another question live in the chat, but yeah, feel free to start asking questions now. I'm going to briefly just talk about Nymbl, but how we help this particular client. So with all these types of applications, there's an initial planning phase. So we developed a product suite. We help them develop the brand and the logo. We understand that they're many groups of people out there, whether they're founders or people in an existing organization that understand a niche industry problem very, very well. So we help is provide the technology expertise and the patterns that we can tap into for our other clients and come up with the ideal tech stack and approach. As most of you know, we use low code to help validate solutions. We did some of that here. When there's an existing product as well, it makes it much easier to kind of modernize or take over into a new technology stack that then you can truly build AI native capability. So that advisory gets us going in the right direction. And then the core of our business is the software development. Again, there's different patterns of technologies that we might use. And then over time, we move into more of an augmented model where we're either doing design support, best practices. Sometimes we may stay on as the development team, but that structure is tailored to the organization needs there. So as far as our offerings go, like I mentioned, we start off with the advisory. We help with some of the design elements, which is why we really like this particular brand, because we were part of that, the logo design, and had some influence in the overall product suite and some of the naming conventions there, which makes that a lot of fun. And then the tech-enabled side, the way that breaks down is you have to address everything you need to develop enterprise software, but also B2B SaaS products. So very familiar with application development. Enterprise AI is that new capability that we're integrating into applications or as agents or more standalone capabilities. Data synchronization, every client is going to have multiple data sources, legacy systems, unstructured data to deal with. So we need that in place. And then cloud infrastructure, as you saw with AWS kind of hitting all these boxes here, but being deployed in AWS allows us to make it HIPAA compliant, through a well-structured process. So we have to be aware of these other point solutions. We have to integrate to existing, like in that example, we have the radiology information system. We need to send information over to that system to have it be scheduled. We need to incorporate newer capabilities that we're not going to develop from scratch, but they could be components, inside your tech stack. So this is the big picture stuff. When you're out there just developing AI on your own inside your own laptop, when you take it to a production enterprise, like these are the challenges and all the other things we have to be aware of and that we guide our clients with. So as far as the different technologies we use, these are the ones that we've either validated or we have partnerships with, but this is how it kind of spans across the different areas of app dev and enterprise AI. So just know that Nymbl is very tech agnostic. Like we won't just say, here's the one tool, let's go use that. We will spend the right amount of time to evaluate what the right tech stack is for your organization. All right, so to wrap this up here, timing wise, we did pretty good. See a couple other questions coming in. Yeah, so why did we decide on AWS? This was a pretty significant influence from the customer. They had an existing AWS system. We happen to be an AWS partner and very familiar with supporting AWS from an infrastructure side. There are components that you could swap in, like especially on the AI level that we considered, but we decided to focus the evaluation or the assessment on things like what eFax service do we use, because AWS was able to check the boxes on most of the technology components that we would need.
And also, if I may say on that one, Martin, AWS has a great management tool that allows you control the AI component, including Claude, including TextRack. So you manage everything from AWS. That makes everything a lot easier to deploy, makes it a lot easier to test, makes everything a lot easier to keep everything HIPAA compliant. So you don't utilize an API, you don't use a BA contract that sometimes you have to sign with the AI provider. It's all embedded within AWS. So it makes everything a lot easier and more fluid.
And part of what we also had to help with is assess the cost. Like you saw that per fax slide, like that's something that AWS is pretty good at creating that transparency. It might be more expensive than some other platform options out there, but the overall cost assessment is another factor that we assisted with. So if you want to learn more about Nymbl, feel free to email us at sales@nymbl.app. We will email this recording after we kind of edit it and give you some of the different chapters to make it easier to watch and follow. And then we are planning a webinar with the VitalMed team and our client Radiology Imaging Associates maybe in late Q2 to kind of go through the deeper components of VitalMed, which we're very excited about. But we wanted to take this opportunity to showcase the preview of what's happening now in a practical application of document AI. That's what we try to bring to the table, like come out of the theory components and let's say, how do we use this, amazing new technology and, a very relevant part of our client's business. All right. Well, thanks, Marcos, for hopping on. And yeah, we'll look forward to catching up with some of the attendees on a later call. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great morning.